Welcome to the Damon Floyd Coaching Show here on Talk 101.3. As always, brought to you by Lost Margaritas on 25th Street. Enjoy them. They're a great Mexican menu up there, and every time I think about them, I start getting hungry for some great Mexican food. Coach, glad to have you here again this week. As always, it's hard to believe that our regular season is complete. End of the season with a tough loss to McMinn County over there, and in our game last Friday night on senior night. But Jalen Hunt, he is a force. You talked about him last week. Says we got to stop him somehow. It just didn't work out exactly. But got big Bryce Goodner, who's going to Virginia Tech there in the line, and when he opened up just a sliver of daylight. Phew.
Yeah, he's a special talent, and like you mentioned, we talked about him last week. But you got to give McMinn a lot of credit. They pushed us around a little bit, and when they did, Jalen Hunt, he found the crease, and he's hard to bring down. He's not a very big back, but he broke a lot of tackles, and then when he did have an opening, we didn't even get close to touching him. So there was a couple times there, and when it happened, he scored some long runs. So fortunately, he is a senior, and we will not see him again. But I thought our offense played really well, gave us a chance to win. We still have got to improve on special teams. We're not winning the field position battle, which will be huge in the playoffs. So that was pretty frustrating. Kickoff has got to get better. So. Still some things to improve, even though it's the end of the regular season. So, we got to play better if we want to extend our season.
Well, you mentioned Hunt there. He is a senior who'll be going to Western Carolina. They listed 160 pounds in the roster for the start of the season. Probably don't weigh that much now, I'm guessing. But if he were a 200, 210 pounds, should be playing big-time SEC football, I would guess, for sure.
I think it's definitely his size, the reason he's not going to, some FBS schools. But and not only his offense, but his defense. You're talking about a kid that doesn't come off the field. Yeah. He's also on special teams. He made some huge open field tackles against us defensively where, you think we've got a chance to score, and all of a sudden, he comes out of nowhere, and not only is he getting on the ground, like he's bringing the wood, like he is laying licks. So we have a lot of respect for him. From talking to Coach Cagle, he's a great kid. He says, his teammates obviously love him. He shows up and works hard every day. Like, he doesn't take a day off. He works hard in practice. He works hard in the weight room. You hate to see a kid have that much success against us, but you do appreciate a kid that does all the right things and not very big and works hard and does all those little things. So, like I said, fortunately, we don't have to worry about him next year.
Well, it seems like from a fan's perspective, looking at it, we can play with anybody in the state. For a half. It seems like we get started off slow sometimes, and we have a great second half. Sometimes we have a great first half. We led 2 top 10 teams in the state, and Maryville and McMinn at halftime. But after halftime, they adjust or whatever. And if we can ever put 4 quarters together, we can beat anybody. There's no doubt about that. And that's just, I know that frustrates you as a coach and your staff that, what do we got to do to make that happen again?
And coming into the season, that was one of the things that we were really focusing on, because I felt last year inconsistency was our biggest issue. And for some reason it still is, and we're unable to put our finger on it. So, we keep, preaching those little things of trying to fix those. And you talk about adjustments, well, you can go back and watch the Maryville McMinn game, and it's not schematic adjustments. They're running the same stuff. For some reason, we're not necessarily doing the things that we're coached to do.
They out-execute us.
They out-execute us. They pushed us around a little bit physical. Like you said, they know who to go behind with Blake Goodner, and he pushed us around a little bit. But not gap sound. We may call it the wrong way. Then we miss a tackle here. Defensively, that's our biggest issue. And it's not that we don't know what to do. And really, I challenged our guys this week. Is it a discipline issue? Because it's getting very frustrating, and sometimes it's the second half that we play good.
Oh yeah.
So we've just, now would be a great time to put it all together.
Yeah, we need to do that. But we had a lot of positive things come out of the game. Our offensive line again had a solid game. Javon Burke, he continues doing 178 yards, 34 carries, which is one of the most carries any player's ever had in Bear history. 57 more on 4 receptions, returned 3 kickoffs for 65 yards. And that's 300 yards, all-purpose yards there, and he's a senior. We're going to miss him next year. And Cannon Hall, 12 receptions. That's one of the top receiving efforts ever in Bradley High School history, in 100 years of history. And he's got 64, I think, now. And he was double covered a lot. But he's one of these guys who can go get the ball, whether he's double covered or not. We've seen him do some stretch out diving catches in midair, and he'll sacrifice his body to make it happen. he's a tough hombre too there.
Well, and I've been telling college coaches, I mean, his size hurts him in recruiting. He is a stud, and all the good receivers we've had here the past 10, 15 years. I'm telling you, he is one of the top. And he is a playmaker, him and Javon both. And, for us to succeed offensively, those guys have got to touch the ball numerous times. And there's sometimes, like you mentioned, that we may even call plays for Cannon. We can't get it to him because Aiden really is doing a good job of recognizing when that safety's over the top helping. And, when he's single coverage, we try to get it to him, obviously. But there's a lot of times that those secondary guys are playing a little bit of games they know who they got to stop. They watch film. So, Cannon – and he's matured so much over the years of like working hard, just being a better all-around football player and doing the little things. He's not a big guy. He doesn't love the weight room. It's no secret. But he has really worked hard in the weight room in the offseason. And, you're seeing his hard work. Obviously, he was good last year, but I think he's way better this year because of all the little things that he's done to prepare himself. And then Javon, he gets mad at us. Sometimes on Friday night, he'll come up a little slow, and we're like, well, let's get him out and get him a break. Or maybe he got dinged up there. And then as soon as he gets on the side, we're like, why am I out? So, of course, we're like, well, get back in. Oh, man, he has shown a toughness that, quite honestly, I didn't know if he had. And this year, he is as tough as any kid we've ever coached here. And another kid that's worked extremely hard in the weight room. So to see him get those results. And it's funny because we practiced this morning, and I heard him in the locker room talking about his offensive line. And he wouldn't be where he's at without these guys and Carter Howard. So it's nice to see that he understands. Yeah. He's a tough player, but he's also giving credit where credit's due for our offensive linemen.
Well, that's good. And talking about Cannon Hall, the only guys ahead of him now in the yearly receiving is Lamerick Tucker, James Stovall, Tyler Carpenter, and Saban Clark.
Yeah.
And you're in that class of receiver at Bradley. You can say, I'm pretty dang good, and he certainly is there.
And the guys he's over, the guys that are under him. Cal Pickle, D. Chris, Daniel Clark. I mean, there's a lot of guys that had a lot of success. Justin Houston. So, he's an elite class for sure.
He's in there. And defensively, C.J. Hardy again, 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. Cam Creighton teamed with Knox Watson. They had 5 tackles each. It's good to see Ken Hooper. I know you hadn't planned on starting him, I heard, last Friday night, but tell us how that developed.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat story. Ken's has been out since the very first quarter of the Cleveland game. And if anybody knows Ken Hooper, of course his dad, Kenny Hooper, that played at Ole Miss. First of all, I still, and we told this story, I'll try not to get too emotional, but we told this story to the team of Ken Hooper when he was coming in. He had some chances to go to some other schools that were trying to persuade him to go to those schools. And his answer was, I'm going to go win a state championship at Bradley. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I love it. And the type of person Ken's is, he has worked so hard. He's our emotional leader. He's our physical leader. I mean, he is a physical kid. Like, he loves contact. And we're just not the same without him. Some other guys have stepped in and played well while he's absent, but he's our leader. He's playing on one leg Friday. So we said, you know what, it's better off we have him for the playoffs, give him another week's rest. Rodney Williams, who's went in, a freshman, has played really well.
Sure,
He's really played well. And we said, let's rest him. And, as the week went on, he's starting to feel a bit better. Coach Ford's inside linebackers coach. We talked. We said, man, it's just not the best. Let's keep him healthy for the playoffs. And we said, you know what, he's a senior that's earned the right to at least, if this is our last game in Bear Stadium, which it ended up being, he deserves that right. And before we went out for warm-ups, we talked to Ken's, and Ken's was, he's fine. Like, hey, go ahead and start Rodney. I'll play a little bit if I can. That'll be it. We come back in from warm-ups. He goes up to Coach Ford, and he said, I'm starting the game. And we knew he's not 100%. But the fact that, it's like, how are you going to tell that kid no? Let's go. And, he played pretty well. And I think he would be honest with you and tell you he didn't play up to his normal standard. But he's probably playing on a leg and a half. He's just not healthy. But I will say this week in practice, he's close to 100%.
Oh, that's great.
And he feels really good. As a matter of fact, he's standing out there yesterday at practice doing backflips. So he must be feeling good. But I think the game helped him. Yeah. He had to get back in some football shape for the playoffs, and the little confidence of like, okay, my hamstring is okay at this point. So long story, but awesome story. Love Ken Hooper being on the field.
Great story there. And something else you did. That some people may not know, it's Javen Burke went after the coin toss.
Yes.
And that was good. He's been injured since the first game of the year. And a great kid, straight A student, going obviously to a major school. And it's good to see him. And I seen him. I told Earl, I said, look here, look who's going after the coin toss
Yeah.
this year. So that was great to see that.
Well, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So, you know, Javen's not been on the sidelines. He's not been around for multiple reasons. Number one, we didn't want anything hitting his arm when he was braced up. The other thing is the COVID issues. So we're trying to keep as many people away as we can and limit that the chances of our kids, you know, catching contact tracing or catching COVID. But not only Javen. So this is the first time in my 15 years we let the team vote on captains. And this Friday we've got another captain going out, and it's going to be C.J. Hardy. And that's something, as a coaching staff, we think he's earned. And he probably should have been a captain. If he would have been here all 4 years, he would have been voted a captain because his teammates love him. But he was only here last year. So I think that's a pretty cool deal. Yeah. And I went and talked to our other captains and told them what it's about, and they were all about it. Because CJ, since Ken's has been out, has been our emotional and physical leader on defense. Great kid. Works extremely hard. Teammates love him. So there's another one for coin toss on Friday.
He's playing college ball. You're going to have several guys playing college ball, and that's good. Always good to have that. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to look ahead at our playoff game this Friday night as we go on the road once more. First round to Farrugut Admirals. We'll be back in just 1 minute for Los Margaritas.
One thing to love about the Tennessee Valley is Bradley Central Show Choir, Vocal Motion. The other thing to love is the local Geico office on Lee Highway.
You could save a lot. Oh, you could save a lot. Oh, you could save a lot. But how do you know?
Unless you call 894-2600. Got a car? Got a boat? Got a home?
Get a quote.
Welcome back to our coaching show here on Talk 101.3, brought to you by Los Margaritas off on 25th Street. There's nothing more that needs to be said about our game with Farrugut Friday night on the road. We went up there last year. It's win or go home, and we've played them more times the last 2 years. We played any team in our region. Two last year, two this year. That's four games we played, and you guys, you know Coach Courtney, he knows you, and so forth. It's just crazy, but how it all matches up. So it's going to be a fun, emotional, intense
I hope it's
game.
fun.
Well, yeah.
I hope it's fun.
We do
Last
too.
year was not fun.
No, it was not. It was pretty bad.
Talking about leading at halftime, you know, this year I think we were tied at halftime. Last year, the very first game of the season, we were up 9 at halftime. Then we played them last year in the playoffs, and we get smoked. Like, we did not even literally show up. And I'll be quite honest, Tuesday when we came out to practice, it was not a very good practice, and it was, we tried to change it real quick. I do think the guys responded, but it's like, I stopped them and told them, like, look, if this is going to be like last year, I don't want to waste any more time. Yeah. Like, we do not want to go up there and be miserable again. So we're trying not worry about the scoreboard, let the scoreboard take care of itself, but we have got to show up.
Yeah.
And we've got to be excited to be there. And I hope our kids show up with some passion and realize that what the opportunity is in front of us. And sooner or later we want to get that monkey off our back.
Well, boy, no better time to start your Friday night. Let me ask you this now. First game of the year, when you go into that game at Farrugut, they've obviously lost some guys to graduation. We did, so we are a different looking team. We start with Damon Burke, and all of a sudden he's hurt. Aiden McCleary goes in. He's not had the game experience that you would need at that point, but Cannon Hall stepped into the go-to receiver. Javon Burke has stepped up into one of the best running backs in the state. They probably made changes too. When you look at film and review the last few games they've had versus the early in the year, do you see a huge difference? Because I think Mike White, this kid, has stepped up from receiver and running back, I guess, and it's a different look to them as well as to us, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, so their quarterback, the first time we played him, that was his first game starting. Yeah. So you can tell, watching film, he's a lot more comfortable. Oh, yeah. His go-to guy is Matt White. Matt White will play wide receiver, and then he also, when he doesn't play running back, he plays wildcat quarterback. Oh, okay. So he'll run it from the quarterback position. But he's as good as any receiver we've ever faced, since I've been here. He's very talented. The thing about their team is you can tell they're Coach Courtney, and he's always done it, they're a smart program. Like, those kids are disciplined, they do their job, they trust their teammates to do their job. They're a physical football team. So they do a really good job up there schematically. They're as good as you're going to see. They're probably not the most complicated, but what they do is they're really good at what they do. So defensively, they'll be a lot like McMinn County. They're a four-man front, and they're going to stay in that four-man front. They don't blitz a whole lot. They're going to read their keys, and they're going to be where they're supposed to be. So just a really well-coached team. And at this time in 6A football, that's what you're going to get in the playoffs. So we have got to match their intelligence on the field. We have got to make sure that we do our job. Trust your teammate to do your job. Win the field position battle. Which is probably the same thing they're preaching. But to answer your question about Farrugut, they've changed a little bit and they've settled in. Probably not quite as much as us because we've had a few more injuries and things like that they've not had. So, but both teams should be at the top of their game at this point.
Well, and I look back in the first game of the year against them, they had 211 yards rushing, which is quite a bit of yardage on 45 carries. But our defense against the rush, except for last Friday night, is outstanding against solid days and Maryville even and teams like that. We played really, really solid. We've got to have that same defensive effort to stop the run with them there. And are the players looking for some sweet revenge? The kids, hey, we played them first game of the year, and they know we should have beat them. We had that game won, you think. But what's their attitude?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I'm going to be very, very disappointed if we win the game, that's awesome. If we lose the game and do everything the right way, like we're ready to play, and we play for 4 quarters and you come up short, that is what it is. I will be very disappointed if we not go up there with the right attitude of trying to win a football game the right way. Now, we've got to play well, but I want to see us compete, from start to finish. You talk about the 211 yards rushing they had. We had all those weather delays. 80 yards came on one play.
Yeah, it did.
And it was right after a break of we walk on the field, and all of a sudden it's the very first play, and it's 80 yards. Yeah. So it's those little things of having the right mindset every single play, and, those are the things we've been focusing on. Hopefully those take effect. So, I hope if our kids aren't ready to play, I don't know why they were not. If you're ready to go to wrestling or basketball, whatever season's next, then go on. We'll go with who wants to play.
Yeah. Well, the key to the winning game, we had a lot of penalties up there that first game too, if I remember right. But what do you think are the 2 or 3 keys to us? I can tell you, no turnovers.
Yep.
Try to get a turnover too from them, play the possession game.
Yep.
Eliminate the penalties.
Yep.
And just execute, I guess. What we got to do.
And you can ask our kids, they know the key to every football game we play. And you mentioned them. The first thing is we got to protect the football. Mm-hmm. Second thing is you got to do your job and trust your teammates. We can't have silly penalties. We have to win the field position battle, and that's special teams. You have got to take pride of being on special team. And then I think the other big factor if you're looking at our offense, we've got to establish the run game. Keep their offense off the field. And then when we're on defense, every team has to stop the run, but we have to contain number 20, Matt White. We cannot give them an easy win or a cheap one with a vertical ball. And you do those things, you win.
Yeah.
If you don't, we won't be here next week.
Turn in your uniform, the season's over.
That's right.
And I was looking at the brackets that we're in. We've got 4 teams in our bracket with Region 1 matchups. that are in the top 10. I mean, there's going to be some good teams fall by the wayside pretty quickly here because this is the toughest region in the state in 6A, and it seems like it's that way every year. Dobbins Bennett, Maryville in there, and also us and McMinn County all in the top 10. It's just a Friday night, lights come on. It's just.
Well, the good thing is we're in the mix.
Yeah,
we're one of those
absolutely.
teams,
Yeah,
and
we're one of
that's
them.
the thing.
Yeah.
It's if you look at a bracket and you don't get excited when you see Bradley Central up there, then something's wrong. So we've got as good a chance as any team to advance.
Well, let me ask you one more thought. I know next year we're going to do some reclassification. We're going to lose some region foes like men and Ottawa will no longer be a region foes. You may not even want to comment on this. I'd ask if you do. Do you know who you think will pick up in our region? Maybe Bradley, Cleveland, and Maryville, and Blunt's the old teams in our region. We keep those four.
We'll keep those four.
Who do we pick up?
So we're going to add Bearden,
Okay.
Farrugut, Hardin Valley. Those will be the three new teams in our region, along with us, Cleveland, William Blunt, Maryville. Most of those teams we play anyway.
Yeah.
We play Farrugut, Bearden. I'm just pretty sure we're going to play the next 2 years if we weren't in the same region, so that helps us scheduling-wise. We're going to play Ottawa, McMinn, and Walker Valley for sure, non-region, so we still got to find one game.
Okay, that sounds good.
So pretty
Not a lot of
similar to what
change
we've
there.
had.
Yeah.
Pretty similar. We played Hardin Valley those years in the Super 32, so somewhat familiar with them.
And they're a big school. They're 1,900, I think.
2,200.
22.
Yeah, we're at 1,570, and they have 2,200. So there's 500 student difference there.
And they're a relatively new school. They blew by Oak Ridge, and they picked up kids from Farragut on
Yep.
that west end out there, and Bearden, I guess, too. But
Yep.
it's going to be different a little bit. That's next year, folks. We're not worried about that. We've got to kick off. And remember, it's 7 o'clock now, statewide. All kickoffs in Placer are 7 o'clock local time. So we'll go live at 5:30 on Talk 101.3 The Bus. Join us on the radio. Take your smartphone. Listen to us on My Mix 104 app. But be there. We need you there. Support the team. Be there early. Get in there and grab you something on the way up there and support the team.
All tickets are online. You can't buy a ticket at the gate in any of the playoffs. Everything is done through TWSAA. There should be a link on social media and things like that. So there is no ticket to purchase anywhere.
I did not know that. Okay, so you got to go online at twsaa.org, I guess.
I don't know if they have that link there. I think we've shared it on social media. Kobe Dills. You can look at his Facebook or our Twitter account, and he's probably shared it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know there. But join us again. Like I said, we start at 5:30 on the radio live in the press box. We'll have the coaches show with Damon. We'll have a player interview this week with Gabe Camford. And we'll have our award-winning football panel as well. And we'll go live in the field at 7 o'clock with myself, Earl Rowan, and Gwen Troy, the sideline man. So tune in then. Until then, God bless and go Bears.